Hello students, hope all of you are fine. Today again I am here with another video on female reproductive system. We are discussing how do organisms reproduce of 10th class. So we had discussed in earlier video reproduction in male. Today we are going to discuss reproduction in the female and reproductive system in the females. Dear children, in our earlier videos, we have discussed some common activities or common terms that are included in both male and female reproductive system. For example, we discussed puberty as it is the stage when the female and male organs become functional or they become mature. Okay, so in case of female, the onset of puberty is at the age of 12 to 10 to 12 years. Okay, and in case of the male it is 13 to 14 years. Now dear children, we had also discussed certain secondary characteristics that changes secondary characters that appear in case of the human body, and that is the secondary sexual characters. In case of male reproductive system, we had discussed that certain hormones are released in case of the male. Okay, and those hormone which are released in the male, that is called the male hormone, and that is the testosterone. Okay, now similarly in case of female also certain hormones are released, and that particular hormone that is released in the female is called the estrogen. Okay, now since hypothalamus, it is a gland present in the brain, so hypothalamus, it will produce two hormones, that is the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormones. Okay, and these two hormones, they will trigger the ovary and there will be production of the estrogen and the progesterone. Okay, so here the two hormones are there, and out of that estrogen is responsible for producing the secondary sexual character in case of the females, and progesterone, that is called the pregnancy hormones. Okay, now female reproductive system, it consists of the ovary as you can see in the figure. Okay, then there are pair of ovaries. Okay, then fallopian tube, or we can say oviduct. Okay, uterus, and the uterus is also known as womb. Okay, and the vagina. Okay, so these are the reproductive parts or the parts of the female reproductive system. Ovaries, they are located inside the abdominal cavity. Okay, and this abdominal cavity is nearby the kidney. Okay, and the function of the ovary is to produce the germ cell, that is the egg. Okay, or ovum. The egg is produced every month. Okay, one egg is produced every month, and the ovary, each ovary produce the egg alternatively. Okay, it is not that both the ovaries will produce egg. In 1 month, if left ovary is producing the egg, and other month the right ovary will produce the egg. Sometimes simultaneous release of the egg take place, and sometimes if it happens, then under that condition, if the fertilization take place, then it will lead to the formation of dizygotic twins. Okay, I'll tell you what are dizygotic twins and monozygotic twins later on. So now here, another function of the ovaries is to produce the estrogen and progesterone. Now estrogen and progesterone, I told you estrogen stimulate the sexual character. Secondary sexual character development is ensured by the estrogen. Okay, and it also regulate the ovum production and cause the cyclical change in reproductive organ, okay, that is ensured by the progesterone. Okay, so both these hormones, they play a very important role in case of the reproduction. Okay, and they have very key role. Okay, now uh, fallopian tube. Fallopian tube, it is responsible for carrying or transportation of the egg. Okay, and here in case of fallopian tube, the fertilization of the egg also take place. Okay, uh, fallopian tube, it help to carry the egg from the ovary to the womb or the uterus. Okay, an egg also get fertilized in the oviduct only if it meets a sperm. Okay, if sperm is released and it reach the oviduct, then the fertilization take place. Okay, now next we have is the uterus. Uterus, it is a elastic bag like structure. Okay, and the fertilized egg, the zygote. Okay, when the egg get fertilized, it is called the zygote. Okay, and this zygote, it get implanted, it get embedded in the lining of the uterus and develop into an embryo. You can see in the diagram. Okay, so if the fertilization, okay, take place in the oviduct, okay, that is the place where the fertilization take place, the egg and sperm, when they unite with each other, that particular space that is present in fallopian tube is called the ampullary isthmic junction. Okay, now there, after fertilization, what will happen? The implantation process will take place. After fertilization, when the zygote, it get embedded in the lining of the uterus, as you can see here. Okay, this particular process, okay, by which the zygote, it get embedded in the lining of the uterus, that is called the implantation. Okay, now uterus, as it is a elastic bag and it allow the implantation of the zygote because it has thick wall. Okay, you can see here thick wall is there, and if the implantation does not take place, this wall start breaking due to the lack of the estrogen and progesterone. There is loss, the decrease in the amount of the estrogen and progesterone take place, and due to that, the breakdown of the endometrium wall. Okay, this thick wall of the uterus is called the endometrium wall. Okay, so it start breaking and the cycle start in case of the female, that is called menstrual cycle. Okay, now we'll discuss menstrual cycle. Menstruation, okay, it is degeneration and removal of inner thickened lining of the uterus along with blood after every 28 days. Okay, after every 28 days, the uterine wall, it breaks and it is released in the form of the blood from the uterus. Okay, and this happen if fertilization does not take place. Okay, both these events stop if pregnancy occur and are resumed after the childbirth. If the pregnancy does not take place, it will continue. Okay, and if pregnancy take place, then the process of thickening of the uterus wall or uterine wall and its breakdown after every 28 days will stop for 9 months, and after, as soon as the parturition take place, that is the delivery of the baby take place, the process is resumed. If fertilization does not occur, both the processes keep occurring during periodically every month. Okay, every month this process goes on in absence of the fertilization. Now placenta, we have, after uterus we have another organ that is called the vagina, and vagina is also known as the birth canal. Okay, now it receives the sperm, okay, and the function of vagina is to receive the sperm from the penis, okay, as well as a child is born through it, okay. The birth of the child also take place through the vagina. Next we have is the placenta, okay. Placenta, it is a special tissue, okay, that is formed, okay, that is formed by the union of the wall of the uterus and the wall of the embryo, okay. There are two walls that unite and there is formation of the finger like projection between both the walls, okay. Now this particular tissue is present in developing embryo or fetus, and it gets nutrition from the mother's blood, okay. It help in obtaining the nutrition from the mother's blood. It also transport waste of embryo into the mother's blood. That means the transportation of the food and the waste is ensured by the placenta between the embryo and the mother. Next we have is the ovulation, okay. Now the process of release of the egg from the ovary is called the ovulation, okay. Menstrual cycle we have already discussed. It is the in the sexual or reproductive cycle in human female, onset of puberty is called the menarche, okay. In case of the female, when the menstrual cycle starts, that particular period is called the menarche, and after a certain age, that is about 50 to 55 years, the menstrual cycle stop in case of the female, and that is called the menopause, okay. Now with this we will conclude the female reproductive system. Now last topic that is left is the reproductive health, and this will discuss in another video. Here you can see the placenta, okay, embryo, fine, umbilical cord, then there is watery fluid present, okay, inside the uterus.